Welcome to day 10 of the Get Up and Go Challenge. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Let's get some soap. Let's get some new soap. Yesterday and the day before, we talked about how we deal with changes and how we deal with challenges, how we've dealt with them in the past, and how maybe yesterday we talked about how we might be able to deal with them in a more proactive, better way than we have been currently doing or we have in the past. Because there's always ways we react that we wish we after the fact could go back and change and think and do differently. But guess what? Once we've done something, we can't change it. Once we've said or done something, we can't really take it back. We can't change anything that's happened in the past. We can only operate in the present moment. So today, we're going to talk about the SOAP framework. It's a new framework that it's an old way of doing things. It's a way I've done things and dealt with challenges and changes for a long time, but I never had a name to it. And creating a framework around it made it possible for me to install the process, the framework in my subconscious, where now every time a challenge or a change comes up, I automatically run this process on a subconscious level. I don't have to think about SOAP every day. So today I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what this framework is, because our tool today is this SOAP framework. But we're going to break this down over the rest of the 30-day challenge so that you can install it in your subconscious as well, so that you can automatically guarantee that you'll have better results after you faced a change or a challenge than before you face this change or challenge. Each and every time works for everybody. Everyone that uses it, it works for. It's not like you might be thinking, oh yeah, that sounds good, but it's not going to work for me. Well, it's worked for everyone so far because we have a framework or a process that we use already. That's our current framework. And we're just going to substitute a framework that guarantees we'll get better results with the framework or the way that we're doing things now. It's like if we're triggered to behave or react a certain way. And we all have triggers. We all have things that just automatically set us off. There's certain phrases or smells or sights or sounds or things that will occur in our life, experiences we'll have in our life that will remind us and trigger us of something that happened to us before. And sometimes triggers are awesome and they're positive, but a lot of times we latch onto things that we have a significant emotional event with, and we latch onto those, and those triggers, they often happen when we have negative experiences. And so we tend to be more triggered toward negative things than positive things. It's just kind of inherent in our beings and in our lives. So we want to, whenever that happens, make sure that we have another equally as powerful tool on the other side of that trigger to offset that, so that any negative triggers that are set off in us can be counteracted by something, a habit, a ritual, a routine that we automatically follow to negate the negative impacts of that. And the SOAP framework, the SOAP, allows us to do that. So what the heck is SOAP? Now we know that there's all different areas and aspects of our life, right? We've talked about that: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, and contribution. And most of the time, these are interrelated and we don't separate them out. But for the purpose of the exercise going forward over the next 4 days, I'll break down the S, the O, the A, and the P for you in great detail. Today, I'll just quickly summarize, but we'll break them down. And what our action item is today is I need you to pick, and we're going to vote on which of these 7 areas we want to start with. Do we want to start with physical? Do we want to start with mental? Do we want to start with financial? Whatever is the biggest issue for you, that's the one I want to run through the framework and give you specific examples of how you can apply it to your situation and your life. Now, that leads us to the S in SOAP. The S in SOAP actually stands for story or situation. What is going on in your experience right now? And what do you want it to be? Because it wouldn't be a challenge or a change if it wasn't something that was getting your attention. So the story is what's happening, what is going on right now. And it's not what happened in the past. It's what is the situation right now and what do I want it to be? So we'll use a couple of frameworks to break that down over the course of the challenge. We'll use the who, what, where, when, why, and how framework. We will use a couple other frameworks that I've used my entire life because they work, because they're so powerful, to actually look at what our current story is, and is it even real? Is the story we're telling ourselves even true for us. Maybe it's true for someone else, but it might not be true for us. So we'll do a deep dive on story tomorrow and situation. What's my current situation? What do I want to be? What story am I telling myself? What story do I want to be living and experiencing right now? The O in SOAP, next, the O in SOAP, stands for options, choices, possibilities. We've talked a little bit about infinite possibilities, but we'll dive deep into that in the discussions that we have about the O in SOAP, which is options, possibilities, alternatives, ideas. And we'll use tools every time we talk about the O that help us to do that. Things like brainstorming. And we'll use that to make sure that we realize that there's always lots of options for us. So often we box ourselves into a little corner and we think that things have to be black or white. It's either this way or that way. It's this way or the highway. And that's so not true. And we'll discuss that in detail in the O portion of our SOAP framework. A stands for action. We have to do something. We have to move. We have to take action. It's great to know where we are and where we want to be. We know it's great to know we have a lot of possible options and a lot of things that could happen. But until we decide on something and actually move toward it, take some action, do something, move, grow or go, get up and actually go, nothing happens because we don't know if what the options and the possibilities are that we're thinking about will work or not until we actually apply and try them. There's so many examples and stories of that we'll talk about in detail as well. And the P in our SOAP framework and our new kind of SOAP stands for progress. All of us, human beings, we need to feel like we're moving toward something, like we're making progress, like we've got something to look forward to. Even though we live in the present moment, everything we do in the present moment is because we want to create a particular future. We want to have certain things show up in our life, and we want to know that we're making progress toward that. So after we take action, we're going to see, did it make a difference? Did that action move us toward what we want, or did it move us away from what we want? And we're going to note, literally pay attention, because a lot of times we just do things, we don't even pay attention to the results we get. We're going to actually pay attention to the results, and one of three things is going to happen. We're going to move toward what we want, we're going to move away from what we want, or we're just going to stay in the same old spot. And what is that trigger for us? It means we need to go back and either take another action, or maybe we have to go all the way back to the beginning of the SOAP process, get a new bar of soap and say, all right, that didn't work. I blew that up so bad. I need to start over again. We just, again, go back to and revisit, where am I right now? What do I want? What are all the possible ways of getting there? What action can I take right now to move me toward that? Did it move me toward it, away from it, or stay the same? Am I making progress? And it's progress over time, but we only ever have to make the next step. So that is a quick overview of the SOAP framework. Situation, story, options. What are the possibilities? What could I possibly do given this situation and story and what I want it to be? What action am I going to take? What is just the next teeny tiny baby step I'm going to take that I expect to move me toward what I want? We're never going to take actions and steps that we think aren't going to move us toward what we want, but are those going to happen? Absolutely. Doesn't mean we stop and give up and throw in the towel and think that it's never going to go our way. We just try something else. And then we want to always monitor, are we making progress? And this is a continuous loop. It's called the continuous improvement loop, actually. It's the same framework as a continuous improvement because we want to always be spiraling upward toward what we want. So today, I'd love if you would just think about these and think about SOAP and a new way of dealing with your situation. But our action item today is simply to pick one of the 7 areas and share it in the comments below. Which one do you want to talk about and learn about first? Now, I usually, and if I don't get any votes or any responses, I'm going to go with something physical because I have personally learned from my experiences that if our health and our well-being and our physical body isn't the way we want it to be, then nothing else matters. Nothing will shut you down faster than if you get a physical diagnosis or an illness. And so when information is lacking, that is where I start because that is truly the foundation of everything that we are. And everything else is interrelated and stacks on top and intertwines with that. But that's my vote. My vote would be physical. So share yours in the comments below. That's on the homework thread and the Get Up and Go Challenge private group page Otherwise, we'll just go with physical, and we will break it down over the next 4 days, the S, the O, the A, the P, of using our new bar of soap to clean up our act. They just thought, I don't know how soap came to me, but it just seemed to fit during this year, during the pandemic, during times when we are doing so many things to sanitize and clean up our life, washing our hands, wearing masks, social distancing, all of these things just seem to feed into and fit the soap framework. And guess what? Soap is something that we use every day anyway, so why not take something that we're already doing and make it a positive trigger to remind us that we have the power and the ability and the capability and the control over how we respond to everything. And the soap framework reminds us of that. That's it. Go out, have an awesome day. Any questions, ask in the comments below, knowing that we're going to go deep into this over the next few days, and then we'll do it at least one run through for each of the 7 areas of our life. We're going to, I will give an example. We'll do several examples, or an example for sure, for each of the 7 areas. So we'll go deep on 1, maybe 2 or 3, but we'll go at least a day each in the S, the O, the A, the P, the soap, how to clean up each and every one of those areas. So you've got a crystal clear example of how that might apply to your life and your situation, because that's what really matters, is how does it impact you. All right, catch you tomorrow. Get up, go.